They thought our entire hospitality and leisure industry was going to end up collapsing, and we lifted it up and made sure that people were able to do that. You also look at our labor force. Our labor force is growing much better than the country as a whole, which is really, really important. And we did over 70,000 private sector jobs in July. That's one of the best numbers in the modern history of Florida. And so we're doing all that with a lot of these headwinds that we're seeing from Washington with the Biden administration. You look when they came in and they started printing all this money, the cost of all this stuff really started shooting up. Groceries, energy, utilities, home prices, rent, all these different things that have really, and not obviously throughout the whole country, but we're not immune to that here in Florida. So you see that, and the energy is I think, intentional because they're really trying to make it hard to produce oil and gas here in the United States. And I think if you look what's going on in Europe, they're facing some really serious problems because of some of the choices they made with respect to energy. Massive, massive spikes, and that could get very ugly very, very quickly. So, in the United States, it's a national security issue. It's an economic security issue. We need to be able to produce our own energy. We need to make sure we have enough energy to be able to run the economy and to make it so that people are able to afford it. That's not what Biden has wanted to do. He thinks that somehow you're not going to have oil and gas, it's just going to be windmills and solar. That's not going to happen. And like Florida, we've got a lot of solar, and it's fine. It's a complement, but it is not a substitute to be able to run an economy. I think Europe is finding out with being so dependent on Russia for some of this. They're really at the mercy there. You see, some of these areas are just seeing massive spikes. That's devastating. And so, we don't want to see that here. Unfortunately, I do think that you're going to see it looks like oil futures are going back up. You could end up seeing gas prices turn back up over the next couple months. There's a lot of people that are predicting that. So that's a huge problem, and that impacts everything that's going on with the economy. It's not just going to the gas pump and getting hit with higher gas prices. It impacts everything that people are buying and businesses and the whole 9 yards. You look at how much food has gone up. Been huge spikes in prices for food. So the bills at grocery stores, obviously restaurants have to deal with it too. So you see all that. And then what are they doing to try to mitigate that? Actually, I think they're putting fuel on the fire. If you look at this most recent legislation, Inflation Reduction Act, they're calling it, they're actually imposing taxes on energy, on oil and gas. And so they're going to make it more expensive. When you tax something, it becomes more expensive. So they impose taxes on that, knowing that we're facing all these energy problems, which is a huge no-no. They also authorize 87,000 new IRS agents, and those IRS agents are going to be mobilized to go after people that the government doesn't like. This is not something where they're only going to be going after billionaires. In fact, billionaires all have accountants and lawyers. They're going to be going after people who are not going to be able to defend themselves against these audits. And, they actually proposed an amendment when this was being debated in the U.S. Senate saying none of these agents can audit under $400,000 a year. And the Democrats voted that down. They did not want to protect Americans that are making under $400,000. So your question is why would they not have wanted to do that? Because they want this to be something that is going after sole proprietors and handymen and people that own restaurants or people that drive an Uber. And so it's going to be those folks that are going to be least able to withstand an audit that they're going to go after, because that's really the low-hanging fruit. If you go after that, you're going to be able to probably scrounge a lot of stuff. So that's not a good thing for an economy to be unleashing the IRS. And it's also the case that the tax code it's incomprehensible. So if they go after you, a lot of times they're going to be able to find something, especially if you don't have an accountant or you don't have lawyers. So I thought it was really, really reprehensible that they'd be mobilizing 87,000 IRS agents. And I think every member of Congress that voted for that bill should be required to be audited every year by the IRS. Then Biden is saying he can unilaterally do this student loan, just cancel, not really cancel, taxpayers will pick up the tab, for student loans. And first of all, you can't do that unilaterally by executive action. He does not have the authority to do that. This is something that a lot of people have said, even Pelosi said couldn't be done. And yet he's going ahead and doing it. And so that's not consistent with the constitutional form of government. But you also look at what will the effects of this be. And you even have economists that work for Barack Obama saying this is going to put gas on the inflation fire because you're going to effectively be injecting a lot more money, with an already big money supply. So I think that that's something, it's certainly not going to reduce inflation, and it very well may exacerbate. And they think it may end up being $1 trillion when all is said and done. They've been doing trillions of dollars every year, it seems like, just kind of keep doing it, hoping nothing goes wrong. But when you have inflation the way it is, not the opportune time to do it. And the thing is like, okay, you have people that have paid it off, so it's obviously not fair to them. You have other people that have made other choices because they didn't want to go deep into debt, and so maybe they pursued trades or other things rather than do this. So then now they're going to be foot with the bill. But it's also the fact that the colleges and universities have benefited from all this debt. They raise tuition. They expand their massive bloat in the bureaucracies in a lot of these universities. And a lot of them have these big endowments. Why aren't they paying for the loans? They should be responsible for the loans because it was their recklessness. It wasn't the American taxpayer that was reckless about it. And so what Biden's doing, he doesn't have the authority to do it. But if you're going to do something, no reform of higher education, no reform of any of this the way it's gone for the last generation, which has been a massive amount of waste going into a system and putting a lot of debt on the backs of a lot of people. In Florida, we don't permit that. So since I've been governor, there have been no tuition increases at our state university. We've frozen the tuition. And basically, you can go to University of Florida or Florida State. It's like $6,000, $6,400 for in-state tuition. Not a lot of places around this country where you can get that, where you can go for that type. So we've just said it's got to be affordable. We're not going to just pump money in with more tuition, run the institution in an effective way, and deliver value for something so that students can go to school and not end up deep in debt. And so they can actually do something with their life rather than be smothered in this. And so I think that there's a whole host of reasons why it was very problematic, but I am proud of what we've been able to do in Florida to recognize that going deep into debt is not a good thing. And if you go $100,000 in debt and you end up with a master's degree in engineering from MIT, look, you're going to be okay. You're going to do fine. But what happens is you have these fourth-tier universities that they charge as much as Harvard, and people go 150,000 in debt because they're told it's just this piece of paper that's magic, and that's not true. And so that's why we've said it's got to be affordable. We're proud that our university system is ranked #1 by U.S. News and World Report. We're proud that now, University of Florida is now the 5th-ranked public university in the country behind UCLA, Berkeley, Michigan, and Virginia. And that was used to be like 20th in the country for public. Now it's 5. So that's quality for affordability. And I don't think anybody in the country has a better value proposition than we do. But at the same time, as much as we're proud of that, we've done a lot to expand workforce education because there's a whole bunch of different pathways where you can be successful. You don't have to go to a 4-year brick and ivy university. And so we've done a lot to expand apprenticeships, to expand job training for things that are really, really important. And when you look at the supply chain, you need more people to drive trucks. You need people that can fix trucks. There's a whole host of things that you need. It also helps attract manufacturing when you see that a state is very committed to strong workforce. So we're going to continue to do that. I think it makes a lot of sense. And the Job Growth Grant Fund, which we're going to talk about today for here in Fort Pierce, that's one of the tools that we've used to be able to identify what the needs are in workforce, where we can make an impact. And so when we're expanding commercial driver's license slots, when we're expanding apprenticeships, when we're doing things, a lot of times it's because we're looking to see around the state where we could get the most impact on. So we've done a lot on job training and workforce education, and I think that that's paid off. I think it'll continue to pay off. But we've also done a lot on infrastructure with our Job Growth Grant Fund because there are certain things that if you can provide an underlying support for infrastructure, then the economy and all this stuff has an opportunity to really grow. And we've done that in various portions of the state, and we've had a lot of impact, and businesses have moved, and there's been expansion. And so we allow local communities to apply for these grants. We kind of scrutinize them. They're ranked according to impact, and then we determine in my office kind of what makes the most sense to be able to get the most bang for our buck. And so here in Fort Pierce, you have an opportunity with what's going on with some of this revitalization that you're seeing. And so we're proud today to be able to award $2.7 million to the city to redevelop the 8-acre Kings Landing site in the city's downtown area. And that has an opportunity to do a lot. So this will help the city reconstruct aging utility infrastructure, reconstruct a portion of Indian River Drive, make pedestrian safety enhancements, and improve the Moores Creek Bridge. So these public infrastructure improvements will help this area attract new businesses, including restaurants, retail stores, and even a full-service hotel. Additionally, by improving this infrastructure and addressing transportation needs, the project will support additional growth in nearby areas like the Port of Fort Pierce and the Fisherman's Wharf project. And so we're very bullish on St. Lucie County as a whole. We think Fort Pierce, really is a great spot, and I think this is really going to help the area continue to blossom. So we anticipate that this project alone will end up attracting about 1,300 jobs to the area, and will have a fiscal impact of over $5 million. And of course, to the extent it's helping these other areas too, that fiscal impact is able to build. So it's an honor for me to be able to present the mayor with the check. So where's she at? Get over here, okay?
Thank you.
All right. The banks have been known to balk at that, but you can try your best, but the money is in the mail one way or another. Okay, well, we have our representative, Dana Trabulsi, here that's going to say a few words, and we'll hear from Dane Eagle.